I think we all need to take a second and just slow down. Just take a second, take a breath. The last time you and I spoke, between that and now, a lot has happened. A lot of crazy shit has happened. High-scoring games, super blowout stuff that just boggles and baffles and blows your mind. So let's all just take a second, slow down. Because this is going to be the king of or queen or head of overreaction day. Taking what we saw the last time we were out here, looking at Saturday's slate and now into Sunday. And again, having the benefit of hindsight. This is just going to be insanity. We appreciate you rolling. Thumbs up, subscribe. We only ask so little. Yes, I have an opportunity for you here at DraftKings. Yes, I'm going to tell you about some other stuff, but the big thing is that we just want you part of this community. We love that this thing continues to grow. It gets bigger. So we appreciate you first and foremost. Now, let's slow down. Okay, let's dive into this thing. And we jump in with this Milwaukee Bucks game where I think there's going to be just a little, maybe not as much as you think. Maybe I'm just pushing this a little too much there, but Phoenix is healthy sans Durant. And that's what's being the big conversation about the Suns, where, you know, they started to get some stuff going. And Giannis, of course, was out there, fooled everybody for 7 minutes total, and was yanked. It was horrific. A lot of people were, again, so pissed off and upset about multiple things, but that was one of them. And Milwaukee still does Milwaukee things. So what are we really looking at here? 13 games for the Milwaukee Bucks. A situation for Phoenix where they're really good, but they're not, and nobody's expecting them to be tonight, really great with Kevin Durant. And that's what you have to be in order to beat the Bucks. And look, Giannis, let's just assume, and I don't think you can right now. This line to me at 4 is more hesitant than the last time we spoke when it was at 1. Remember, we got in Milwaukee at 1. What did that close at? 6.5, something like that? As soon as word got out that he was playing, everybody's like, whoa, this, and I want you to pump. I want you to pump a little bit. This is where you're going to jump in. Oh, look, baked in, -4. It's only going to move. I don't think it's going to move that much. Giannis in, it's not going to change much at all. Maybe a point or two out. I don't think it dips significantly either. 4, they've sharpened up. They smartened up. If I can pull a page out of The Sopranos there. They've done that. I'm sorry. Did we just violate any of these YouTube things? Can we reference that without licensing? Okay. Let's roll with the Bucks -4. Now, let me tell you, I can turn $5 into $150. $150. It's so simple. Just sign up below this link, right? It's not going to be here long. And you have to be 21 or older. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Live in a state where you can legally place a wager. We don't all ask, again, much, right? Just those 3 things. Maybe you're new to DraftKings. Maybe you are looking at this video thinking to yourself, I'm only on this one book. And I keep seeing these guys, Lindquist during the week. They're always telling me about what I need to do on DraftKings. And I'm not on DraftKings. All right. I get it. That's why we're here. Take 90 seconds or less out of your life. Sign up on DraftKings. Sign somebody you live with on DraftKings. Deposit only $5. Find the heaviest money line favorite you can find. It's in college basketball. Anybody that's the heaviest favorite, it doesn't matter. Put $5 on that and then immediately $150 back. Okay? Simple. Now we keep going. Now we go back into our pump mode because we have the Nets and the Hawks. 2 teams, mind you, that are in full prime position to be in overreaction mode. From you, the better. Me, the better. Us, the better. So let's be better betters. Sounds like a good content piece. Nets come off this just horrid. It was so bad. It made you want to fight yourself for betting the Nets, for taking a chance on the Nets. How bad they were just smashed into the floor. They're going to bounce back to some extent, meaning like they're not going to get blown out by 60. The Hawks, on the other hand, they come fresh out of the gate. And how many times have we talked about this? in a lot of sports, and I think it definitely correlates in the NBA, where you don't need to be, for a lack of a term, better term, unsuccessful, where your record may show something, but maybe something else internally isn't reflected on that. But there was a weight. There was clearly some sort of weight lifted. And Trae Young in the conversation, all right, man, you want to get out? Let's see what you can do, and all these other things about improving stock and all that nonsense. If you want to buy into that, that's fine. But the Hawks are going to slowly come back. What does this mean? We go under. It means we take 229.5 and we lean under in this game, primarily because the Nets are going to just a little bit, right? You're going to see this regression. Defensively, I'm fine with Brooklyn hanging in this basketball game. Atlanta, that's where you definitely see, look, again, a lot of this victory that we just saw against the Hawks coming off the break, fresh, or against the Cavs, fresh off Bulls, pardon me. What the? Woof. No, Brooklyn gets smoked with the Bulls. What I'm talking about here, the Cavs, is this weight, not having your old coach. Who cares about Quinn Snyder? Who cares about Trae Young getting dealt? The Hawks regress a little bit and will go under 229.5. I don't know why I was just conflated the two, but you get it because only those 4 teams could be in this conversation. We move on. Let's hit the Mavs game. I don't see it here. The immediacy, like urgency, get to the playoffs, get to the play-in, do something with yourselves. Just turn this thing around with yourself, right? I don't know if that's clicked yet with the Lakers, simply because they've expelled mass exodus there, Russell Westbrook. That doesn't seem to be the end-all be-all to me. I'm not going to buy into it as their problems are fixed. This is still a bad basketball team. And yeah, they've got new pieces in there. D'Angelo Russell gets hurt. Anthony Davis is still a wild card. LeBron James, I'm not saying that these guys are bad leaders or that they're bad performers. Clearly, they're putting up insane numbers, the latter of the two here on this team when they're healthy. And there's no debate, argument about that, but it's not transferring over. So here you have a tight line where the Mavs are only laying 4 at home. And you can lay whatever you want into that as far as with your own brain. But the Mavs themselves, Dallas coming off another good performance. I don't care if it's a tomato can at the bottom of the league. I don't care what it is. The Mavs still building, but looking sharp. Sharper, you'd have to admit that. Kyrie, Luka, it's coming together. This is not a proclamation that the Dallas Mavericks are going to move on into the postseason and win the NBA championship. I'm not projecting that right here and going out and saying, hey, bet that. Futures. We've got futures. No. Slow down. Tonight, Sunday, today, technically, this afternoon, Sunday, 4 at home for a team, the rich person's version of the Lakers. Lakers need to squeeze this thing together, but they're not good. The Mavericks are good. They just needed to make this trade, and now they're squeezing it together at a faster clip because they're better. So we take the Mavs -4 with a big lock. Another bounce back opportunity here for the Washington Wizards. Brutal loss for them, right? When you look at what happened with Friday night's action. They lose to the Knicks. This was a bad loss for them. But the Knicks, we talked about them on Saturday's slate, and they come through because they steamroll. That's what they do with squads. They steamroll. I'm muted. That's what I get. Just conjuring up thoughts of how bad that was for Washington. It's terrible. But the Bulls, this is where people are going to overreact. And that's why I had to take a pause for you for dramatic effect. Sneeze, but pause. The Wizards come off a really bad letdown. First quarter, they have this game. It's a bad letdown. Knicks come back, and they don't just come back, they pummel them. Now, you think, all right, well, this is what the Wizards are. They start to crumble. This is just a bad situation in this final stretch for Washington. On the other hand, the Bulls come off this near historic victory. I mean, it was just this super wide smack in the face, and just the Nets were floored. We talked about how horrific it was on their end in Brooklyn's side. Chicago's not good enough to keep up that momentum, right? So again, both of these teams, the Wizards on one hand, and again, let me just back up for a second, because I'm going to keep saying, and again, it's not really that. It's the same point. But with Washington, you look at this team, the body of work. They lost to a better basketball team who is finding something right now with the Knicks. Like they lost to a team who's better than them, who's on a win streak. Okay. You get a lead in the first quarter and you blow it. The gap between those two teams, it's understandable. The gap between Chicago and Washington, do you really think that Chicago is good enough to sustain momentum from smashing the shit out of a Brooklyn Nets team that has no idea what they're doing, but they aren't that bad? And we know that the Bulls haven't been able to put together much of a stretch. Come on. I'll take Washington on the road, +2. It's a lean, but I'll take the Wizards +2 here. Next up, Cleveland. Now, we talked about what happened with Atlanta. This was just shot out of the cannon. Atlanta, the Hawks, big time. The difference here with the Cavs, okay, they return. And for Cleveland at home against a Toronto team that just slept-walked, as we mentioned, by the way. The game that, shout out to Greg Ehrenberg, mentioned on Twitter, looked like a mistaken schedule. Looked like they just forgot at the end of the year. Wait a second. We've got Detroit. We've got Toronto. It just doesn't make sense here. They're one short. Put them together. Toronto barely gets through. Detroit covers that 7. We got that, no problem. We're still going to turn right back around and technically fade Toronto, but Cleveland, this really is about clamp down. This is about spreading the ball around. You don't expect, Cleveland doesn't respond from a loss like that, where it was just a bad loss for the Cavs and they were more of in a bad spot than anything else, timing, if you will, where Atlanta was just destined to play better. And that's just the nature of sports with human beings who lead this thing. But that aside, the reality, of course, for me is Cleveland puts clamps down. They're going to spread the ball around. We haven't seen Donovan Mitchell respond either individually or collectively with the team after a loss by just taking a game over, scoring 40 points, 42 points, not often at least, right? So few and far between moments there. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for Cleveland to take advantage of some holes, especially up front. And I'm looking for Cleveland to just win this basketball game probably comfortably. Second leg of a back-to-back, but it's a weird spot for Toronto, so I want to take advantage of that. We'll lean under here. And again, you let me know in the comments what you think, how it pops for you, but I'm going to lean under here in the total. Let's move on. Sacramento. At least Sacramento on the road. The Thunder, it's just really difficult, super difficult to bet against Sacramento right now without knowing for certain if SGA is going to play. And maybe the best way to look at this is the fact that it's at 3 right now. Sacramento, though, has earned the right with SGA to be a 3-point road favorite. Let's be honest. The Thunder are a great story. I get it. SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in the All-Star game. Awesome conversation. But Sacramento, by far, deserving of this line, which would indicate that Shai Gilgeous is going to play, or Gilgeous-Alexander. Since the hyphen connects the latter of the two, that's what you would do. At least from the enunciation standpoint. We'll take Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's, I would think, appearance as an indication that this line is more of a reflection tighter as it is at -3. No problem with that on the other side. Just looking at this from Sacramento, it's more, look, from the Thunder, it's all about the health of their elite scorer. Oklahoma City's not going to hang. They're not going to last. If you take the Kings right now at -3 and SGA's out, it doesn't matter. You're ahead of that by a mile. The other part of this is just looking at the Kings in this spot and recognizing from a playoff push, trying to do their best, especially after Saturday, where you saw Denver take an L. Try to do their best to make a push, to continue to narrow that gap as much as they can. They do have time to do that. They found a little bit of a stretch here, little small little bit of a stretch. All right, we move on. The Warriors, this team. The Warriors are just a funny team to me because you get injury all the time. It's just such a difficult team to predict. We know that Steph, Andrew Wiggins, well, Draymond, I think, is questionable, right? The latter of the two are not. You have so little to count on from a consistent standpoint. Jordan Poole gets taken out of games. Klay Thompson can score 50 without even scoring a 2. And everybody else is just wildly inconsistent. You can read a recap on any given night about how Jonathan Kuminga had a good night or Jonathan Kuminga didn't even play, meaning he played, but people ask. And it's the same for a lot of guys. Dante DiVincenzo, all right? I'll go local here for you to make sure you know that I'm not biased. I don't like really this game at all. This game is ugly. This game is a trap. This game is one that I don't think offers much with that tight of a line because you would want more enticement to take Minnesota. The fact that I'm not getting that out of spite, I'm going to return this blazer out of spite. Not this hoodie, though. Anthony Beck. That's a different video. Make sure you check the XFL out. But I'll lock the Warriors up. Lock the Warriors up. Again, you have no idea what you're getting. This is a 50-50 scenario on any given night. Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson put up 100 points total combined. Jordan Poole, Klay Thompson put up 40 points, and Jordan Poole has 8, or Klay Thompson has 8. Like, you have no idea what you're getting with this team. But you are on the positive, or on at least one side of the 50. You're getting a team that could easily destroy Minnesota. Easily. And Minnesota is just dealing with a bad loss. And I want to capitalize on that. See, momentum is hard. It's really tough to sustain positive momentum. But negative, bad momentum, it's easy to succumb. Just think about your life and my life. It's hard to get off the whatever it is, whatever your vice is. I was going to go down. You didn't say this, but you said this. Okay. Whatever your vice of choice is, it's hard to get your ass up off the couch as opposed to hard to stop working out. And I'll use that as the most broad analogy I can make. I love to work. I know. You can't. That's fine. Lock the Warriors up -2.5. You can win on the Discord. Let me share this real quick if I can, please. We got parlays for days. I want you a part of the Discord. I'm going to give you half off. There's a link below. Half off your first week. I want you a part. Please join us. You're a huge part of this Odd Shopper community. Come in, half off. I have parlays. We put up parlays all day. Parlays for days, right? That's what we have it. That's what we call it. Some of them hit. Some of them hit. College basketball, we want it. You got it. Whatever you need. Ladder plays, we have that. Jalen Brunson, just put them together. We do it all, and that's why we want you a part of this, okay? Take a look at this sucker. Plus 5,000. Just pop in. This is what we do. Right there below is the link. Half off your first week. All right, let's close down. Couple picks to go here. Couple of leans. We're going to go over in this Blazers game. It's just a matter of both of these teams scoring a lot of points. Yep, it's as simple as that. I think the Blazers need to bounce back right now. Portland is definitely in a spot where they can't continue to reel like this. And Houston is willing to give it up. Houston is willing to say, yeah, take it. They're not San Antonio bad yet, but they may be losers of 15 straight before we get out of here. Not tonight out of here, today out of here, but before we get out of the season. Spurs have a little bit of a jump start. Rockets aren't going to defend. We know that. They're going to give up a lot of points. The Blazers, again, we've seen crazy scores, high scores, wide gaps. I don't know why that stops all of a sudden. Blazers could put up a $150 on this team. I want to go over. Absolutely, I want to go over, and I'll lean that. Last, the Nuggets. I mean, this is simple stuff, folks. Just let's look at this. Occam's razor, if we can apply that. I'm sorry, but actually was a philosophy major at Gettysburg College. Don't tell anybody that. But Occam's razor. The simplest solution when you strip away all the bullshit is most likely what's going on. And that's me dumbing it down. That's not me saying, well, this is no. I'm just saying that the Denver Nuggets were embarrassed. They were beat. Jokic and crew, like, they were just limited. They were just physically limited, like what Memphis does. And people are talking about, oh, this is a great playoff preview. Denver bounces back. At this point, outside of like Boston or Memphis even again, maybe, does it really matter to you who they play? I know the Clippers put up 300 points the last time they were out. Let's expect some regression coming into Denver where it's really tough to play. All right? I think that's as simple as it gets. We end with the simplest play out there. Slow down, everybody. Don't overreact today. Don't overreact tonight. I'll take the Denver Nuggets on the spread with the lead. Thumbs up, subscribe. You have the DraftKings offer. You have the Discord offer. See you next week.